What's up? It's Cairo. Welcome back to Magic the Gathering for Beginners, the series on creature abilities. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, the links to those videos will be in the description to this video. Today we're covering and finishing up on the last section of Evergreen creature abilities, meaning those that are recurring set after set. If you liked the video, you learned something, please hit that thumbs up for me. I really appreciate it, and subscribe for more videos in this series. Let's begin. The first ability that we're talking about today is Lifelink. Originally included in Future Sight, Lifelink is a powerful ability that can win games all by itself. When a creature with Lifelink deals damage, that creature's controller gains that much life. Having the ability to deal damage and increase your own life total at the same time makes it difficult for your opponent to bring your life to zero unless they deal with that lifelinking creature. Lifelink is a pretty simple ability. Its value is pretty self-evident, but when you compare having a few creatures with lifelink with life gain payoffs, such as with a Johnny's Pridemate, which gets bigger every time you gain life, or like Righteous Valkyrie, which makes all of your creatures bigger if your life total grows to a certain threshold, it becomes very powerful. Lifelink has a ton of cards which you can use to make a deck that rewards you for gaining life, and sometimes you can just outright win the game if you achieve a certain life total, like with Angel of Destiny, which states that if you have 15 more life than your starting total and it attacked this turn, each player it attacked loses the game. Let's jump into the next ability, Menace. A creature with Menace cannot be blocked by less than 2 creatures. Menace is a purely offensive ability, and it's used in aggressive decks to get damage through, or at the bare minimum, if they do block, they have to block with 2 creatures, and they probably don't want to do that, forcing them to make unfavorable blocks. The best creatures with Menace have high power, and you'll often see these creatures with a lower toughness to compensate that balance. That means when they're unblocked, they're able to inflict a lot of damage, and when they are blocked, they're more likely to be able to destroy 2 creatures at least, which are blocking them. If you're trying to be aggressive and grind down your opponent's life total quickly, Menace can be a powerful ability. Menace has absolutely no upside defensively, though, so remember, if you're not able to keep pressure on and keep attacking your opponent, you're going to end up wishing you had something like probably First Strike or Lifelink instead. So let's move on to an ability which is helpful on both offense and defense. Protection. A creature with protection cannot be targeted, enchanted, blocked, or damaged by spells or permanents the creature has protection from. That is a lot. Let's break it down. Let's say you control this Silver Knight, which has protection from red. This means the Silver Knight cannot be targeted by red spells, so the opponent's shock cannot be used to deal damage to the Silver Knight. When attacking, Silver Knight cannot be blocked by red creatures. When blocking, Silver Knight can block red creatures, but will take no damage from them. It's important to know, though, much like Hexproof, if you've seen the earlier videos, global effects which destroy creatures without targeting them will still destroy creatures with protection from a certain color or protection from that spell's color, like this interaction between Black Knight, which has protection from white, and Wrath of God, which is a white spell, but it's not technically targeting or dealing damage to the Black Knight. The Black Knight ends up being destroyed. These are more specific, or there are more specific cards that can come into play stopping protection or changing the rules, but these guidelines cover about 95% of how protection works, and getting into the weeds on the specific interaction is an entirely different video. Simply, when you question how protection works, remember the acronym DEBT, D-E-B-T, which stands for damage, enchanted, blocked, targeted. Okay, so protection was pretty hard to explain, but this next one is not. Our next creature ability is Reach. Reach is a pretty simple mechanic, and if you've seen part 2 of this series, you'll know about flying and how that works. A creature with reach is able to block creatures with flying, where creatures without reach cannot if they don't have flying. It's mostly found in green because green is mostly known for its really powerful creatures that don't have flying. Reach is a purely defensive ability and will not help you on the offense, but if you're playing green, you might not need that help anyway, since their creatures are so powerful oftentimes. Reach is not only found in green, but that's where it is most common. And moving right along into Trample. Get into Trample. Trample is a fun mechanic because it's just like Menace in that it is a purely offensive ability, so it can be a lot of fun to attack with a trampling creature. A creature with Trample deals its excess damage to the player or the planeswalker it's attacking even if it's blocked. For instance, let's say you're attacking with Brawn, a 3/3 creature with Trample, and the opponent blocks with Savannah Lions. Your Brawn can deal 1 damage to Savannah Lions because it has 1 toughness, destroying it, and the rest of Brawn's damage, 2 in this case, is assigned to either the defending player or the planeswalker that you're attacking. Trample is mostly found in green, and it's a potent combat ability that pairs well with large creatures and large powers on the offensive. Do keep in mind, though, just like Menace, Trample will provide you no benefits in defense. Next up, we have Vigilance. Vigilance is both an offensive and a defensive ability, and is a powerful mechanic, particularly when you're evenly matched with your opponent. Simply stated, Vigilance lets a creature attack without tapping. This means that you're able to attack with a creature, then still keep that creature untapped to block an incoming attack on the next turn. It also means that you're able to attack with a creature, then if that creature has an activated ability requiring it to tap, you can attack, then also use that ability in the same turn, as is the case with our Valkyrie friend here. This creature can attack, then when a creature dies after combat, it's still able to tap to use that ability. Knowing how to use Vigilance to your advantage will help you win games. Vigilance is most commonly found in white, second in green, but can be found in other colors as well. Last on our list for today, we have Ward. Ward is a fairly recent Evergreen ability introduced in the Strixhaven School of Mages expansion in 2021. A creature with Ward requires a player to pay an additional cost when targeting it. Sometimes this will be pay 3 life, sometimes this can be in the form of tapping extra mana, or even discarding a card. Ward discourages opponents from interacting with your creature, and it makes it harder for them to remove it from the battlefield. You can think of Ward as an additional tax that's placed on the opponent. Sometimes they won't be able to pay the additional cost at all, leaving them unable to interact with your creature. Sometimes they'll be able to pay it, but by doing so, they won't be able to enact their own game plan and play out their creatures as quickly. Ward is a new mechanic, it's fairly potent, and if the cost is big enough, can be the difference between a win and a loss. That's going to wrap up the third and final part of the Magic the Gathering for Beginners series on creature abilities. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you're interested in checking out more of these videos as I publish them, please hit that subscribe button below. It supports the channel. Tap the thumbs up. I really appreciate the support. And if you haven't seen part 1 or 2 in this series, I have those links in the description. Thank you very much, and have a great day.